Okay. Good morning. Hello, everyone. Dear colleagues, I am very glad to uh, open this meeting. And I believe this is something what we've been waiting for the very long time, starting our Ecohydrology Youth Network. So in recent years, we have observed several initiatives that were calling for youth involvement into water management. And we understand how important it is to change the paradigm for water resources management, to prevent the degradation, to prevent the impact on water security. And we know that there are other approaches for water management, and one of them is ecohydrology. So I am very happy to have you here, all of you, participating in this important meeting. And before we go to our prestigious speakers that we have invited for today, I would like to say that the aim of today's kickoff webinar is to present the core ideas behind the Ecohydrology Youth Network, is to show the importance of the UNESCO Intergovernmental Hydrological Program and Ecohydrology Program that was developed there over 20 years ago, and also to show you the magical knowledge of ecohydrology and hopefully to create a greater interest around this topic. So this is the goal of today's meeting, and I would like to share with you some slides I prepare to summarize our community and to show you the perspective. So first of all, my name is Paweł Jarosiewicz. I have a privilege to play a role of the chair of the Ecohydrology Youth Network. I am also a PhD in ecohydrology. I work at European Regional Center for Ecohydrology of the Polish Academy of Sciences, which is UNESCO Category 2 Center, and also at the UNESCO Chair for Ecohydrology and Applied Ecology at the University of Łódź in Poland. And as you may see from the photographs for the last 8 years, more or less, I am involved into education and several activities related to the youth sector. I am still youth, so I am happy I could be the leader of many younger colleagues at this point of time. And I observe the necessity for us to link together and to promote largely the ecohydrology. Because every time I speak about ecohydrology or I talk to somebody about it, I see a huge interest and huge hope for future and for our water resources management. So thanks to that, the idea of this youth network was forged at least 4 years ago. And recently, thanks to the conferences like United Nations Water Conference in New York or this year Water Conference in Bali, this concept become alive. And I must say thank you to Dr. Elfitri Rahman, that will be the next speaker during today's meeting, that she has created the environment for us, for youth, to create this network. And during our early days discussion on the goals or the agenda of the Ecohydrology Youth Network, we designed these objectives. So the first one is to connect youth leaders and professionals working or studying in the field of ecohydrology to foster exchange of ideas and information, and to operate as a coordinating platform for youth engagement in ecohydrology in partnership with UNESCO. Also, to promote knowledge transfer, to nurture and advance the development of future ecohydrologists, and to enhance understanding and awareness of the significance of ecohydrology in sustainable water management practices. Last but not least, to advocate for the incorporation of ecohydrology principles into water management policies at local, regional, and international levels, So these are our original objectives for the network. And regarding the structure of the EHYN, first of all, we want to create the active discussion with UNESCO IHP and especially the Ecohydrology program, which is under the UNESCO IHP. So we want to be the platform to create the visibility for youth in ecohydrology and to bring our opinion, to bring our knowledge, understanding to the UNESCO IHP. On the same way, we want to listen and learn from UNESCO IHP about the goals and objectives that we must address. Secondly, what we developed during this year is the advisory committee for Ecohydrology Youth Network that I will tell you about just in 2 slides. So this is the group of experts in ecohydrology that we want to learn from. And also we want to be involved into the activities that those people, those leaders are taking. And then regarding the structure of our group, we decided to create the position of chair and vice-chair. And then we want to create the regional boards that will be divided into regional leader and regional vice-leader, plus the bureau that we could decide later how it can be organized precisely. That will be following the United Nations geographical distribution. And then we want to create the committees that already during the registration process, you have clicked in one or more possible places that you would find yourself in our organization. And also for that, we need to select the coordinator and vice-coordinator for the communication, scientific committee, outreach committee, partnership, or project coordination committee. So this is in general the structure of the EHYN that we want to keep. And I must say that observing now our group as we develop, we are very well balanced in terms of gender, but also we have a high diversity of geographical background because at this time we have more than 150 members coming from 45 countries. So this is very significant beginning for us to continue. As I mentioned, we want to collaborate with the advisory committee for the Ecohydrology Youth Network. At this moment, this advisory committee is having 22 members. These are experts in the field of ecohydrology, 7 from Asia, 3 from Africa, 1 from Australia, 6 from Europe, 2 from Latin America, and 3 people directly from UNESCO. The tasks of the advisory board members will be to disseminate the Ecohydrology Youth Network. So we want to ask them to help to promote and raise awareness of the network goal and activities within professional and academic circles. We want to ask for the guidance, so to offer advice and mentorship to our members on research directions, career opportunities, and the evolving landscape of ecohydrology. As also, we want to create the possibility to involve you in several activities that are in ecohydrology, and they are taking place all around the world every year. So we want to encourage and facilitate the inclusion of members of our community in relevant projects, conferences, and other professional activities. The action plan for the next months is obviously starting today with our webinar, the first webinar that we are jointly organizing. Then in the next weeks, I will be contacting you to identify the local leaders and coordinators. Then I hope that in December, we will be able to create our first newsletter that we will distribute among the ecohydrology family members. Then obviously this tradition of webinars could be a very important element for the dissemination of knowledge. So having a great number of experts, but also giving a room for young members of our community to express their knowledge would be a great idea for the series of webinars about ecohydrology that we can jointly organize. And I want them to be not only the global ones, but also the regional or local even webinars that could help you to reach your local communities, but of course using the knowledge of people from our advisory committee or other colleagues that we will invite. Then we want to create the documents or the strategic documents even on youth perspective on the future of ecohydrology that will be developed and provided to UNESCO IHP. Several ideas that we have for the promotion or content development, including the videos from different regions. And I wish that in the October next year, we could organize our first open conference on ecohydrology. And this is the plan that is only the structure is, of course, under discussion. And I hope that you will create together with me other elements for the ecohydrology promotion. So at this point, we have our social media on 3 different platforms, as you can see on the screen. And if not already, I invite you to be actively involved into development of them. Regarding the website, thanks to the hospitality of the European Regional Center for Ecohydrology, our network is now there, but we have also plans to extend that element and create maybe the original website for ecohydrology. And I mean, this is all from my side. I want you to have a wonderful time with our experts from UNESCO and experts of ecohydrology that today will speak. And to not keep you longer, I want to invite Dr. Elfitli Rahman to take a stage and share her presentation. As I mentioned to you, she's one of the initiators of the network, and we are very grateful to her for that initiative and for giving us the space to create this opportunity. So please, Elfitri, if you can share your screen.
Good morning from good day from Paris, and maybe good afternoon or good morning from any countries where you are now. So I'm happy to be part of this meeting, which is the first meeting of EHYN, and glad to see all of you here today. My name is Rahma Elfitri. I'm the Chief of Section for Capacity Development and Water Family Coordination in UNESCO, and also as a global coordinator for UNESCO Ecohydrology Program. So the EHYN or Ecohydrology Youth Network is exactly under the portfolio of Ecohydrology Program in UNESCO. So yeah, so I'm happy to share the UNESCO Ecohydrology Program with all of you, so that you will be able to know further about ecohydrology and how you can play a specific role or to be actively engaged with this program. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen now. I will make it full screen.
Yes, we can, please.
Okay, so as a title given in the program, as you know, I will give the introduction about the UNESCO Ecohydrology Program within the Intergovernmental Hydrological Program or IHP. I hope you know about the IHP. Before I go more detail on the ISP, I would like to briefly introduce about the EHYN and also the little bit background about this Ecohydrology Network. So recently, UNESCO ISP launched this Ecohydrology Youth Network in May 2024 during the 10th World Water Forum in Bali, in Indonesia. And of course, our aim is to support the young leaders, young water-related leaders, and facilitate their activities to be more engaged and more involved in more global activities. So we would like to promote youth involvement, as Pavel already explained more detail on the specific aim of this youth network. But for us in UNESCO, of course, specifically to support us and also to contribute in the UNESCO ecohydrology related activities and the achievement of the specific UNESCO IHP 9 with the theme of Science for a Water Secure World in a Changing Environment. And just to give you a little bit background, this EHYN back to in 2018, actually, we already launched a bit similar network, but at the time we call it as Ecohydrology Emerging Professional Global Network, or EPGN. You can also Google this. But then recently we feel that this name may be not so much exciting for youth. So we changed this youth to be more clear on the specific role or involvement of the youth, or what it is and what you can do and to contribute to this network. So we changed the name, or we reintroduced this EHYN as to replace the APGN. And surprisingly, as you notice, we just launched in May, and as of today, as Pavel also mentioned, we already have 155 youth as part of the EHYN network. So this is just to share with you the 3 initiatives on ecohydrology that we launched during the 10 World Water Forum in May. So at the time we launched the call for ecohydrology demonstration site. Which opened for 2024 at the time. We launched also the new initiative on Ecohydrology Lab Network. And then the last but not least, of course, the Ecohydrology Youth Network. And we are glad to have all like 155 members of youth as of today, and to see all of you here today during our first meeting. Okay, so to give you introduction about ecohydrology at the UNESCO IHP, it is located under the natural science sector. So under natural science sector, we have divisions, 3 divisions. One of the division is division of water sciences. And under division of water sciences, we are also cover or act as a secretariat for 2 programs. One is Intergovernmental Hydrological Program, or IHP, and the other one is World Water Assessment Program, or WAP, we call it WAP. WAP is located in or hosted in Italy, while ISP is hosted here in UNESCO Paris headquarters. So under the water divisions, we have 3 sections that work on the specific water-related activities. So one of the section, which is the section of capacity development and water family coordination, where we also in charge on the 3 sub-programs, which is ecohydrology, water quality, and water education. So this is where ecohydrology is located or framed under the UNESCO ISP of the natural science sector. And for the UNESCO ISP itself, we are now or currently at the 9th phase, as you can see here, since the establishment of ISP in 1975 until now, 2024 now, we are already entering the ISP 9 phase. And it means, if you can see, since the establishment 1975, it means next year, 2025, we will be celebrating the 50 years of anniversary of IHP. I will explain to you further later and to invite you to contribute or to be part of this celebration. So this current theme for the 9th phase is the Science for a Water Secure World in a Changing Environment. And then similarly for ecohydrology program, it is also have the evolution within the ISP. So ecohydrology itself established or UNESCO start promoting ecohydrology since 1996, which is during the ISP 5 at the time, with focus on the ecohydrology as a new paradigm for the sustainable use of aquatic resources. And as you can see, the evolution for ecohydrology also, the 10 years after that, which is in 2006, we start to introduce the ecohydrology demonstration site. So it means also, if you can see from the establishment of from when UNESCO start promoting ecohydrology, we are already around 28 years of ecohydrology at UNESCO, and around 18 years of ecohydrology demonstration site in UNESCO. So this is our program or initiative that we have done in UNESCO related to ecohydrology. And now at the 9th phase, we focus on the ecohydrology for water security, which is in line with the IHP 9 theme for water secure world. Under ISP 9, there are 5 priorities areas, as you can see there. One is on scientific research and innovation, second on water education, and then the third one on data and knowledge gap, fourth on the integrated water resources management, and 5 on water governance based on science for mitigation, adaptation, and resilience. And within this ISP 9 also, we have around 34 output that we need to achieve by the end of 2029. And this is where we want to work with various partner, various entity, including youth, to support us in implementing our activities and to achieve specific output by the end of phase 9 phase, which is 2029. And in order to achieve this output, we establish 8 working groups to help us in implementing or achieving the output. So we established 5 thematic open-ended working group exactly related to the 5 priorities areas, while we also establish additional 3 cross-sectoral groups focusing on the specific topic on hydrological system, groundwater, and human settlement. And last but not least is the working group on ecohydrology and water quality, which currently all of this working group led by specific countries. So for ecohydrology and water quality, we have privilege today to have Professor Dalowski with us also that will give specific presentation after this. He is currently the chair for the ecohydrology and water quality working group. So you will have a specific experience or introduction on ecohydrology by the expert directly. And in order to achieve this output also, we need to work with all our water family. And what is the UNESCO water family? Maybe this is new for you. So UNESCO have its own network, so-called UNESCO water family, which consists of national committee and focal point. So currently we have around 170 ISP national committee and focal point around the world. So maybe if you work or involved with activities related, ISP related activities, maybe you heard before this in your own countries, you have ISP National Committee in your countries. And the second water family also consists of around 29 category 2 institute and centers under the auspices of UNESCO. And then we have around 84 UNESCO chair and unity network located in the various universities in the countries. And then we have around 17 ISP flagship initiative, and then 1 ISP secretariat located in headquarters in Paris. And we have also World Water Assessment Program located in Perugia in Italy. And then we have around 5 our hydrology focal point in UNESCO field offices around the world. And as a member of water family, around 29 category 2 center and institute, we have also currently 4 of them are ecohydrology related category 2 center and chairs. As you can see here, we have 4 related ecohydrology chairs currently located. One is in Poland, European Regional Center for Ecohydrology or ERCE. And then the second one is on Asia Pacific Center on Ecohydrology or APCE, Indonesia. And then the third category 2 center related to ecohydrology is African Regional Center for Ecohydrology located in ERCE in Ethiopia. And another category 2 center is located in Brazil and Paraguay, which is International Center for Hydroinformatics or CIH, which also hosts our ecohydrology web platform currently. And another water family members, which is UNESCO chairs and EHYN network. So out of 84 UNESCO chair around the world, we have at least 6 of the chairs related to ecohydrology. As you can see there in the map, we have UNESCO chair in UK, we have UNESCO chair in France, in Portugal, and of course, we have also UNESCO chair on ecohydrology and applied ecology in Wood University in Poland, I think the one who hosts this meeting today. And we have also UNESCO chair in Malaysia, and then another UNESCO chair on ecohydrology also in Tanzania. So this is 6 UNESCO chair related ecohydrology, which is also our main partner in implementing various activities on ecohydrology. So this is just to show to you the whole UNESCO ecohydrology family, which currently include the ecohydrology category 2 centers, ecohydrology related category 2 center, and then ecohydrology related chairs, and also our ecohydrology focal point in various at least in the 5 offices, our UNESCO field offices in the regions, and also our scientific advisory committee members, which currently represent 7 different countries, as you can see in the map also. So this is our UNESCO ecohydrology family that we work very closely in implementing our various activities on ecohydrology. So back to the UNESCO ecohydrology program or approach, we work on the ecohydrology or implement ecohydrology at the demonstration sites. So for this, to achieve this, we launched a sort of annual call for the new ecohydrology demonstration site since 2022, in order to have more involvement from various member states or countries to be part of our ecohydrology demonstration site. As you know, ecohydrology itself is a natural based solution that implemented in the specific aquatic ecosystem. Brozalewski will present more detail on the concept. So this initiative has been implemented in various countries, but it's not directly mapped in the specific network. So by establishing ecohydrology demonstration site, we established the global network for ecohydrology demonstration site, where all nature-based solution approach are implemented and connected among each others. So this is how we work on the implementation of our ecohydrology approach in the designated in the demonstration site. And at the same time, we try to promote the ecohydrology at the designated sites, which maybe you heard also another designated site of UNESCO, which is Biosphere Reserve, Natural World Heritage Site, and Global Geopark. So we want to promote ecohydrology to be implemented in this designated site. Maybe as you can also help to promote these ideas later, and then to work together with the specific partner or team in the countries to try to implement ecohydrology in your specific catchment areas in your countries. So we work with our UNESCO water family and demonstration site. And just a little bit about ecohydrology demonstration site. It is the site that we implement ecohydrology approach through different solutions to solve both social and also water and environmental issues. So this is the term of the ecohydrology demonstration site. And currently, we have around 51 ecohydrology demonstration sites around the world in 32 countries. So I think maybe your countries is also have the ecohydrology demonstration site. You can see in this map later. So we have currently around 5 ecohydrology demonstration site in Africa, and only one so far in Arab state, which is in Tunisia. We have 16 ecohydrology demonstration site in Asia and the Pacific, and then around 17 in Europe and North America, and another 12 ecohydrology demonstration site in Latin America and the Caribbean. So yeah, so this is the distribution of ecohydrology demonstration site around the world. And if you can see different color here, also shown different type of ecohydrology, where green is showing ecohydrology implemented in the basin or the city areas. Blue color shown the ecohydrology approach implemented in the river or lakes areas, and yellow ecohydrology implemented in inland wetlands, and the red colors ecohydrology approach implemented in the estuaries and coastal water. So this is how UNESCO work on implementation of ecohydrology. In terms of the concept, which Prof. Zalewski will explain more detail or further on this, UNESCO used the approach of the WBSR plus CE and LPG, where to give you in brief introduction on this, where we work on the implementation of ecohydrology to improve this element of WBSR, which is to improve water quality and also availability in the specific catchment area, and then also at the same time to improve or enhance the biodiversity or specific habitat and species in the ecosystem. And as you know, by having good water quality and good biodiversity in the ecosystem, we will also achieve the improvement of the ecosystem services. This is another aim of the ecohydrology. And at the same time, we will achieve the resilience for climate and impact for the specific ecosystem. So this is the main elements that we want to improve for ecohydrology implementation. And not only that, we try to work on improvement of the element of culture and education, or by having the good not by doing the cultural approach and also education to promote activities through education, we can also achieve the more wide concept of culture and education, where the element of ecohydrology will be implemented more naturally by the community in the catchment areas. And not only that, also we try to promote or to include another elements, which is law, policy, and governance, to make sure the implementation of ecohydrology also will be supported by this law, policy, and governance as a critical element for success. So this is the main approach for ecohydrology in order to achieve the sustainability potential of the catchment areas. And this is just to show you the issues that we can address by using ecohydrology approach in different catchment areas. So as you can see here, by implementing ecohydrology, the most issues that we can address mostly related to the pollution, which currently achieved in the 45 demonstration site out of 51 demonstration site, and also to address issues related to intensive land use and also drought and other issues, as you can see here. So this is the potential of implementing ecohydrology. So of course, as today is the meeting with the youth, network for the ecohydrology. So of course, I would like to promote the involvement of youth, and then how you can further involve in this ecohydrology youth network. Powell already shared the similar presentation. So we have currently 155, which represent 45 countries in the world. So congratulations. And as you can see here on the distribution, we have African region. In fact, surprisingly, we have more members from Africa. And in fact, the highest is from South Africa. We have 28 youth representing South Africa. And we have, of course, youth is consists of from the age of 18 until 35. And we have at least in terms of percentage also good percentage of youth for genders, women and men. And also in terms of the years of the youth, and then in terms of the academic background, and then in terms of the interest of youth in the various working committees. I think more detail you can discuss later on the specific meeting for youth EHYN involvement. And this is one example of recent activities related to youth also conducted or in our program on the involving youth activities, which is through the Erasmus Mundus Master in Applied Ecohydrology, where currently every year since 2021, we as part of this master program, they conducted the specific visit to UNESCO I don't know. I think some of you, or the member of the youth, is also a master student from applied applied ecohydrology. So it means you have been visited us here in UNESCO and involved in our or to learn activities ecohydrology activities directly from UNESCO colleagues. So before I finishing my presentation, I would like to give you example on how youth can be involved or be part of the activities in UNESCO. So for example, we will, as I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation, we will be celebrating the 50th anniversary of IHP and 60 years of water sciences at UNESCO. And there are so many activities around the world that we plan. In fact, we will start with the information session in January. For this session, you can listen or because it will be live streaming, so you can have listen directly online for the live streaming of information. But the main activities that you can contribute or involve later, that it will be during the main celebration or global pivot event in UNESCO ISP here in headquarters on 11 June, where we will celebrate the our global pivot events, and also additional activities on 12 and 13 June, event with our water family and partners. So for this celebration and the main global pivot events and water family events, we plan to include youth in these activities. So I would like to welcome the specific ideas or interactive activities or I mean any ideas is welcome. You can contact through Powell, maybe a specific involvement of youth or how you can be part of this event or celebration, whether you want to organize specific events during the said event, or maybe any competition or any interesting ideas. I'm sure you'd have very much new ideas, more I think interest or many unique ideas which we hope to have from youth, so we can have specific activities with youth involvement on ecohydrology during these events in UNESCO ISP in Paris. So if you have a specific idea, you can also submit the specific contribution during this through this link. You can get my copy of my presentation letter from the organizer, from Powell. Also can contact us through Powell. So that's all my presentation for today. So congratulations again and welcome to this team of the UNESCO Ecohydrology Youth Network. And you can contact me if you need more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Elfiti Rahman, for this encouragement and showing us the importance of ecohydrology in the UNESCO IHP and our future role. So we are very happy. Thank you for that. I must tell that we are a little bit after the timeline that we set up. But if there are any questions or comments for Dr. Elfitri, please put them to the chat and we can ask later or deliver later and give you the answers. But now I would like to go for our main guest, Professor Maciej Zalewski, who is the founder of Ecohydrology under the UNESCO Intergovernmental Hydrological Program. He is a founding director of the European Regional Center for Ecohydrology. And in last years, he was actively serving as the expert, not only for UNESCO, but also for the European Commission and Water for All program, which is very important for water resources in Europe. So we have a pleasure to host a global leader in ecohydrology who will share his perspective of ecohydrology, the most important probably in the world. So Professor Zalewski, the floor is yours, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Dr. Jaroszewicz. It is an honor and privilege to have opportunity to talk to the members of Youth Ecohydrologist Network, and I'm very glad because you are the future of ecohydrology, and I believe that everything good which will happen in the future will be just by the team which we are meeting together will be playing the leading role. And now I will just start my presentation, and this is my yes, just a moment. Okay. Panie Pawle, to wstawianie czy rysowanie miało być? Czy projektowanie?
Pokaz slajdów, tam będzie pokaz
Pokaz
slajdów
slajdów. Okej, tam będzie kieliszek.
i
Jest.
po lewo od początku, tak jest.
Okej, jest, gram. Okej. No, to jest udostępnione już?
Tak, już mamy, dziękuję.
Thank you. I had to make some consultation with Dr. Jaroszewicz. We are as humanity, we are very unusual moment of the biosphere evolution. And there on the table, two scenarios. We can have a hot house in the earth, which will be definitely a dramatic scenario. Already some symptoms starts to appear, floods, droughts in all over the world. Or we can work hard and achieve stabilized earth, which means we will achieve desirable vision of the future. And everything is in our hand, because recently the ecological footprint exceed 1.7, which means that we exceed 30% regenerative capacity of the earth. So we can reduce by policy, but also behavior each of us, this pressure. However, we have in parallel increased compensatory mechanism to enhance sustainability potential of the earth, because society need more, let's say, available natural resources. And problem is that we have a limited amount of money. As you see, recently the governments spent 1.3 trillion and requires 3.9. So we need really completely new way of thinking, new paradigm, and UNESCO Intergovernmental Hydrological Program, which was introduced by Dr. Elfitri Rahman, is creating such opportunity to develop new holistic approach, which create innovative nature-based solution, and also methodology which provide the background for you to open the new perspectives. So what is really transdisciplinary ecohydrology, and how ecohydrology can create sustainable future? In my lecture, I will focus on 4 elements. First, answer to the question, how man degrade biosphere hydrological cycle and related life-supporting processes, which means nutrient cycling, energy flow, and habitats complexity. Second, how the terrestrial aquatic ecosystem regulate and stabilize hydrological cycle, and how hydrological cycle affects bioproductivity and biodiversity. Third one, what is scientific framework for transdisciplinary ecohydrology, and based on it, advanced nature-based solution for water sustainability. And finally, how UNESCO Intergovernmental Hydrological Program and Blue Deal of European Commission is accelerating SDG, and how we can support that efforts. So first question, how man degrade biosphere and hydrological cycle and related life supporting processes? First of all, we're straightening the rivers. This is picture of Danube from my friend Professor Janauer. And in this moment, we not only reduce retentiveness of the channel of water in the river, in the floodplain, but we also reduce self-purification potential of the river. This is very important, because, by the way, all these elements decide that we reduce resilience to climate change of the system, because such accelerated outflow of the water by the river is also reducing groundwater level in most of area of the catchment. Second element, agriculture catchment. We have to remember, in many continents, agricultural lands can create even 50 or more area of the continent. This is like in Europe. And as you see on the right side, the industrial agriculture homogenize the landscape and degrade its potential. Degrade not only hydrological cycle, but by accelerating wind speed, change of heat budget, reduce processes which stabilize hydrological cycle like transpiration, through flow, stream flow, increase soil erosion, increase loss of organic matter, increase siltation of reservoir, and reduce what is important, infiltration to groundwater. It means reduce our very important reserve for progressing climate change. So this, on the left side, we can see the landscape, which is somehow still productive, more productive than on this right, which needs a little bit more effort by farmers. However, definitely will be much more productive, will maintain biodiversity, will take care about the quality of water, because biofiltration by these patches of ecosystem is very important, and also increase recharge of groundwater. This is our choice. What kind of the agricultural landscape, this very important element of which defined hydrological cycle resilience will create in future. Now the city. The more than 60% of humanity lives in the city, and soon more will be living. And let's see what happens if we create on the left side, according to mechanistic vision, the concrete city. In concrete city, the percentage of impermeable surfaces strictly define more and more such carcinogenous substances like alpha-benzopyren. It is a European Regional Center project which define how much this is negatively affecting the human health. But the positive news is on the left side, you can see that if we have a minimum 30% of green area with water, the alpha-benzopyren can be even 3 times less concentrated and much less harmful. What are consequences of the dust, particles in the air, pollutants in the air? This is analysis in which, in our city, asthma allergy. In such concrete area, 18% of the asthma allergy among the children. In the area where you have a green space and water, 3 times less. It means there are 1,000 children in the city don't need curation if we will take care and we create the blue-green network, which I'll describe later. So now, question how terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem regulate stabilized hydrological cycle, how hydrological cycle affects bioproductivity and biodiversity. Ecosystems, as pictured on the left, the map of the Earth is evidently indicating there are water recycles, retainers, and filters. Because data by Van der End and colleagues clearly shows that in red area, ecosystems are recycling almost 80% of the water. So this is extremely important to maintain terrestrial ecosystem because they function in the stabilization hydrological cycle is fundamental and will be growing exponentially with climate change. Of course, this dark blue area, there are areas that terrestrial ecosystems are not very important in precipitation, in the water budget, because the effect of oceans is very strong. And this is major determinant of the water availability. However, still, ecosystem can play critical role in water quality maintenance. So, how it is translated, this increasing temperature on the quality of life and the health of the society. On example of my city, city of Łódź, you can see that oscillation of journal temperature in the area when we have the water and the green space covered by parks, by trees. During a day, sometimes temperature is not really significantly lower. However, during a night, system is cooling down, which is extremely important for regeneration of body and also for maintenance good health status of the population, young and old. Now let's see what means the overexploitation groundwater. This is an example from Spain, from Professor Lamas, who shows on this picture how overexploitation groundwater in upper part of catchment affects lower part of catchment. However, positive news is that if they reduce by 30% exploitation this groundwater upstream, the system is regenerating in 3 years very significantly. This is one of the very important message of which ecohydrologist has to transfer to society, that the water is a very critical factor for bioproductivity, biodiversity. However, the reaction on the water resource ecosystem is very precise and exists regenerative potential. However, exist the thresholds, which we have to understand, and ecohydrology is a key science to do it, and on the base of that, create solutions. Another example that how hydrology is responsible for, let's say, for the good ecological status of rivers. This data from my friend Professor Schimmer from Vienna University, showing the different type of the bank, gravel, bay, sand, is critical for different stages of the fishes of survival. So if we have a very unified concrete banks with such diversified shoreline, in this moment there is no chance for biodiversity because the different life stages needs very diversified habitats on the shoreline, in which they appear the different fraction of organic matter accumulation. The fish can reduce expenditure on energy. Trophic conditions are determined by such diversified system. Also, the availability of phytoplankton, periphyton, and invertebrates. All facts determine the fish life strategy and reproductive success. Now we are coming to the question how and why transdisciplinary ecohydrology becomes scientific framework for advanced nature-based solution and systemic solution for catchment, for water and sustainability. Ecohydrology starts from this model, which was proposed a long time ago, which integrate hydrological process, which are changing along the stream order with some physical law. And on second dimension, ecology, which is expressed like ecosystem metabolism. Ecosystem metabolism, it created the new dimension for hydrology and also increase very much predictive potential of the processes, understanding how hierarchy of abiotic and biotic factors is changing along the stream orders, along the river course, and along the temperature gradients. And understanding this hierarchy is critical for management, for optimal management, optimal resource use. And this was demonstrated in the FAO program, which I had the privilege to coordinate in Europe. Now, how to regulate processes. Transdisciplinary ecohydrology postulate not only protection of the environment, protection of the aquatic system, but regulation, this critical process, hydrology biota interplay. And what was the background and how is translated to the solution? On the left side, we see the hydrogeology. Calcium concentration in water is major factor determining the biomass of fish, invertebrates in the upland river. This basic science discovered process was critical to creation the geochemical barrier and increase former constructed wetland efficiency to a great extent. Another much more complicated process is when hydrology can be a tool for regulating biotic processes, and biotic processes are creating positive feedback in hydrology. This was our experiment on Suleif Reservoir when the low water level was reducing the access to spawning grounds in reservoir on spring. This affects the big density of filtering zooplankton, and despite serious load of nutrients pollutants, the good ecological status because biofiltrators Daphnia was maintained. Another year, the high water level stimulate high reproduction of young fish, which eliminate filtrators, and as effect, toxic algal bloom appear. Small fish did not grow sufficiently to survive winter, so we had a dramatic decline of fishery and dramatic decline recreational use and agrotourism in this area. So this is showing how, for example, understanding water biota, hydrological processes, biotic structure interplay can be converted into management and enhancement economy and well-being of society. So putting together the story, we can say the dual regulation is a regulation ecological processes, biological processes by hydrology and vice versa, shaping the ecological structure. We somehow can regulate hydrology, not only the water quality, but also dynamic of hydrological processes. And here is example on left side when the system of purification urban stormwater is purifying the dirty urban stormwater in which city, which allow to retention this limited water resources in the city landscape and reduce the heat island effect, improving the quality of life and health of society. And of course, such system should be, for example, constructed on the beaches when you can see effect of small rain is flushing the city and dramatically affecting the coastal zone on the front of the exclusive hotel. And similarly, in the agricultural landscape on the right, highly effective buffering zone are necessary to reduce the impact of nutrients which are flushed from such homogenized agricultural landscapes to protect the reservoir coastal zone from toxic algal bloom. Of course, in the middle, you have many now called nature-based solutions, which were already in the first development stage of ecohydrology in the Intergovernmental Hydrological Program, were identified and already somehow enhanced in our Pilica catchment, which is one of ecohydrology demo sites. So now I'm saying the ecohydrology not only provide the tools to adapt to climate change, not only can help to mitigate climate change, but also the major new idea is enhancement of catchment sustainability potential. So understanding this water biota interplay, we can increase bioproductivity and biodiversity of the all catchment and its components. Having this, we can also optimize ecosystem services according society priorities. And having this WBS, we can develop systemic solution toward enhancement resilience to the climate and to the different form of human impact. And of course, involvement society is critical through the culture education because action must be taken in whole catchment, not only in the river corridor. And moreover, law, policy, and governments has to somehow catalyze this type of holistic approach, which is proposed by ecohydrology. I always refer to the sentence of my friend, Professor Jorgensen, editor of journal Ecological Modeling, who entitled his last paper, Ecohydrology, a Bridge Between Ecology and Management. And this is which very nicely express the merit of what we are doing. So, however, to achieve such ambitious goal like enhancement catchment sustainability potential, we have integrated many plans. First of all, ecohydrology, through the specific of action, has 4 stages: water plant soil interaction in the catchment, land water ecotone, wetlands and floodplain, freshwater ecosystem, and coastal zone. In all these 4 areas, we need to develop innovative methods. We need hydrochemists, biomolecular biologists, biotechnologists, phytotechnologists, limnologists. However, to develop systemic solutions, we have to cooperate with hydrogeologists, hydrologists, hydroacoustic specialists, satellites, data analysis, and drones used for assessment. This putting together create solution which just can really be game changer. So, however, how to start the action? If you want to really solve the problem, you want to enhance this catchment sustainability, first, hydrological principle saying you must quantify hydrological processing catchment, precipitation, evaporation, infiltration, ground flow, and also superimpose on this different form human impact distribution in the space of the catchment. And this is example of the left side precipitation distribution, this blue one, non-source pollution distribution, red area when we have a big load of phosphorus coming to the streams, and on the right side, which is a little bit cover, distribution of sewage treatment plant with analysis of the efficiency and possibility to improve it. Second principle, distribution of ecosystem. We have to look where are the ecosystem which has to be protected because they've great value for our culture. Second, where are ecosystem which are generating non-source pollution and how we can reduce the impact from them. And third one, point source pollution, another form of the human, let's say, degradation of hydrological cycle. On the base of this, we can apply third principle, ecological engineer or ecotechnology principle, when we can think how using this knowledge from the generated from this first simple use appropriate ecohydrological advanced nature-based solutions. Now I will introduce several examples how in Ecohydrology Center and the chair of ecohydrology we do it. First of all, we have to distinguish what is nature-based solution and advanced nature-based solution which generate ecohydrology. On the left side, you have Dr. Jarosiewicz, which with our friends from Ethiopia, Center of Ecohydrology, is measuring the wind speed and moisture of soil, demonstrating the tree row is really maintaining the wetness of the soil much longer, and this is translated into much higher crop just behind such tree rows. And sometimes you can devote 3% of the field to put the tree row, and you can increase 30% of the crop in some situation. Of course, this needs your precise analysis because every catchment, every ecosystem is different, and this needs fine-tuning. However, on the right side is our solution hybrid solution when we integrate engineering, because there was no enough space, and we use separators for trapping the sand, trapping organic matter from the roads, and some pollutants from parking and roads. They were trapped in the classic separators, and after we created geochemical barriers, 2 types, some, let's say, phytotechnological surrounding the second geochemical barrier, and also biomanipulation in the system. We increase resilience by putting lots of predatory fish to reduce zooplankton-ivorous fish, to keep resilience by intensive biofiltration by Daphne. So here is not very visible, but however, initial stage was 180 milligrams per liter was reduced to 3.5, 20 times reduction. Of course, we're still working on, for example, introducing some bacteria which can still significantly amplify the process. And this is showing that up to now neglected pollution from the roads, from the parking, which were generating toxic algal bloom in this small, however important in the city reservoir, can be very, very important and can be useful. Another example, on the right side, we can see what we use different conversion of the sewage sludge into bioenergy. However, on the right side, you have the different varieties of the willow, and also on the left side, you have the same varieties. However, when we use our knowledge of what should be optimized groundwater level, how should be optimized the sludge, because sludge appear to be toxic for plants. So we develop method of reduction toxicity, and also how we can support the sludge, because sludge usually have lots of nitrogen, phosphorus, but potassium is eliminated. So if you put extra, this is generating much. So as you see, typical example of enhancement without knowledge, you had no more than 2 tons from hectare. Depends on the variety which we use. However, having this understanding groundwater level and other elements, we achieve up to 8 tons of the production. This is something which we have to think and to remember, that integration, difference in science, dialogue with different specialists can increase so efficiency of our measure. When we are keeping in mind the limitation of the finances in recent stage for SDG is extremely important. The another case, advanced ecohydrological solution, restoration of lake, when many type of measures were used, and now the system of urban stormwater purification was adopted, developed with some also using the microorganism, and there was a very efficient and much cheaper than the use some chemical treatment of sediments by iron chloride, which was dramatically bad for benthos, for biodiversity, and for functioning of the lake before. Now, the new paradigm, evolutionary ecosystemic. I think on the left side, we have a traditional thinking, the concrete city. Even in park, you see lots of concrete. And on the right side, we can see the blue-green network city when we connect parks by green corridor, river valley, use this advanced nature-based solution and create such a poor reservoir, looks like natural. Of course, this is change of the thinking from this bottom up, which was focused on concrete infrastructure, which still is important. However, we stop down when we are looking from perspective of human health, quality of life, and blue-green infrastructure created on the basis of understanding ecohydrological processes. So finally, we're coming to the stage to answer how UNESCO Intergovernmental Hydrological Program and Blue Deal of European Commission accelerate SDG. The good synthetic example are results of the last year conference in New York, 2023. Secretary General, he considered as from title of conference, what a game changer for acceleration the SDG, decided the water is major factor which can change positively the recent efforts to acceleration of the SDG, and which is condition sine qua non of sustainable future. And during this conference, the session by European Regional Center Ecohydrology was organized. Transdisciplinary ecohydrology for acceleration SDG, methodology of science and pattern of implementation. This time I had no opportunity to talk about methodology of science, which is very important, but I think in one of our future meetings we'll have a time to make maybe workshop, to make a brainstorming about methodology of science, when your experience from different ecosystem, different hierarchy of the problems to be solved in different type of catchment, all continents, will be the subject of our discussion and development of new dimension of ecohydrology. Finally, I think the very important the conclusions from this New York conference, which appear in the Nature, most prestigious journal in our area. First, governance, radical reshaping of water governance that moves away from fragmentation. And during my lecture, I demonstrate principles of hydrology, which definitely reduce fragmentation of efforts and really create the new dimension of IWRM. Second conclusion, there was ecohydrology, ecohydrological nature-based solution which use or mimic processes play a key role in enhancing biodiversity, reducing risk associated with water hydrological extreme and ensure water, food, and security carbon. So we get silver medal during this prestigious conference. And third, society, necessity involving decision-making process, those groups potentially to be most affected by water crisis. And of course, acronym WBSR plus culture education. And this is precisely expressing the necessity, creating the culture of water and sustainability, where ecohydrology demo site, which Dr. Elfitri Roman is greatly supporting and was initiated by former coordinator, Dr. Giuseppe Arduino, and they are in progress and still, thanks to your proposition, your initiative are getting new dimensions. So finally, let's provide a definition. What is ecohydrology and transdisciplinary ecohydrology? Hydrology expands understanding life-supporting process in freshwater and coastal ecosystem by highlighting the important interplay and feedbacks between hydrology, ecosystem structure, dynamic, especially ecosystem metabolism. Transdisciplinary ecohydrology, which is now the priority of the IHP9, is integration hydrological biological process from molecular to catchment scale to be converted into dual regulation, advanced nature and systemic hybrid catchment scale solution for enhancement sustainability, WSR, culture, education, law, policy, and governance. This way, transdisciplinary ecohydrology becoming new dimension of IWRM, which reduces cost and increase catchment sustainability potential. This results which I was showing was done by the team introduced on this picture, and I hope visiting Ecohydrology Center you will have an opportunity to work with them, and they are very eager to share their knowledge, experience with all the Youth Ecohydrology Network, I'm sure. And Dr. Jaroszewicz is a person who is spirit of smallness, this very important initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Zaleski, for this holistic perspective on ecohydrology and great inspiration, I think, for our youth participants. I think we have for some questions. There are some questions on the chat. I believe that we can focus on one of them. One of the members asked us about the practical necessity of quantification of hydrological parameters as rainfall, evaporation, and others as the part of the first principle of ecohydrology. If you could answer that question, Professor Zaleski, how important it is.
Okay, I think that the answer is very simple. We had on the picture, blue picture of the catchment, if you remember, and the upper part of catchment was very light blue, and on the bottom was dark. This catchment, our Pilica River in first principle ecohydrology, which you refer. And this was expressing the difference in precipitation. In the light blue, we have only 500 millimeters, in dark blue, 800 millimeters. Distance is 150 kilometers only, and subcatchments has a such big different precipitation. And at Poland, at 400, river doesn't flow. So you see, the one subcatchment has a 4 times less water during a year. That's another one. If without this, let's say, assessment, for example, construction of sewage treatment plant, also kind of investment from water-taking industry and so on will be dramatic, can create dramatic mistakes. So that's why quantification of hydrological cycle in subcatchments and so on, even in this very rough, of course, amount of precipitation is measured cycle. It depends on your goal. You can go farther and assess groundwater, so on, and many other parameters. However, this first step is fundamental for early. We must know how much water flow in the given river, and also what is annual pattern of flow to really optimize different advanced ecohydrological nature-based solutions.
I believe this is also from the abiotic-biotic model, that the hydrology is the major factor that regulates processes that we understand in ecohydrology. Thank you, Professor, for your professional experience and share of that view on ecohydrology that we could listen today. Now, I would like to give the floor for our young members of our community that will share with you their presentations. So in that part, we expect to see 4 short presentations that will cover different topics that are linked to ecohydrology to give you a broad perspective of the possibilities for research, development, implementation that you can take in your careers. And the first one that will take the floor is Julián Camilo Rios Vargas from Colombia, who just 1 month ago defended his master thesis in ecohydrology. He was a participant of the Erasmus Mundus Master in Applied Ecohydrology. That was a joint collaboration between 4 universities in Poland, in Europe, including Poland, Portugal, Belgium, and Germany. So I would like you, Julián, to share your screen, your presentation with us.
Yes.
And you
Thank
can
you
start.
very much, Dr. Pavel, for the invitation and yeah, for lead this event. So I'm just gonna share here. Just confirm me if you can see the screen now.
Yes, yes, yes. This is perfect.
Okay. Thank you so much. So yes, as Dr. Pavel mentioned, I'm going to present like a bit of what was my project for my thesis for the Master in Applied Ecohydrology. So basically this one was a study of harvesting rainwater, the relevance of hydrometeorological factors on rainwater quality, and the demonstration of the mitigation approach using green roofs and adsorption materials. So at first, I would like to go with a bit of introduction of some big challenges that we have right now in urban areas. So we know that the floods are happening everywhere. We just saw the case of Valencia in Spain in recent days, the floods that they had. And also we have the effect of urban heat islands. So we can see how's the difference between temperature in some urban center areas and also the surrounding areas. In this case, in this right image, is the city of Milan. So as part of these challenges, we have 2 big causes of or problematics. So the first one, it's related to the climate change. So we know that the climate change, it's affecting the temperatures everywhere. This is increasing, of course, the rates of evapotranspiration, and this is also impacting the frequency or the patterns of some events like heavy storms. Also, we have like the the fact that half of the world population lives right now in urban areas, and this number is expected to increase about 70% by 2050, according to United Nations. And this also, of course, has a consequence on the land cover area. So this changes the rates, for example, of evapotranspiration. It increases the rate or the percentage of runoff. And this, of course, impacts the water quantity and quality that finally is discharged in some lakes or rivers, for instance. Okay, so we have also the concept of blue-green infrastructure. I think that the Professor Zalewski just mentioned some about it. So this is a very important concept because of the climate adaptation. Its implementation must support biodiversity and increase water retention and connectivity between natural areas. This concept basically provides the basis for stormwater retention and purification, improvement of microclimate, adaptation, of course, to the climate change, among other benefits. Apart from that, we have that in many countries around the world are approaching this as another concept, such as low impact development and water sensitive urban design, in order to manage stormwater through the inclusion of some systems like green roofs, rain gardens, swales, etc. However, we have still a gap to know whether some of these nature-based solutions can act as a source of pollutants that can impact, of course, the water quality of receiving bodies like lakes and rivers again. So the research aims of our project was to, at first, determine the influence of hydrometeorological factors such as rainfall intensity, antecedent dry period, and first flush on the rainwater quality to understand better the potential stress to nature-based solutions. The second one, to verify the efficiency of green roof technology as a type of nature-based solution in terms of runoff quantity and quality. And finally, to identify and compare the potential enhancement of rainwater treatment through the inclusion of innovative sorption materials. So I'm gonna be quick for the methodology. So it was done, the study in Poland, in the city of Łódź. The collection of the rain and rainwater that refers to the runoff from the roofs was done from two sites, the European and Regional Center for Ecohydrology and also the campus of University of Łódź, where also we had the collection of runoff water from experimental roofs. These experimental roofs were installed before by the UNESCO chair in ecohydrology, and these were part of the Water for All project also. So we had basically five type of roofs, two traditional roofs that are showing here in this slide, the felt roof and the EPDM rubber roof. Then we have three green roofs, the first one with the small buckets of sedum, the second one again with these small buckets of sedum plus sorbent material that in this case was cake sheet, and the third one was kind of a wetland roof, so it was basically standing water in this one as it's shown here. For the water quality analysis, some parameters were analyzed, like total suspended solids and particulate organic matter, total nitrogen and total phosphorus, also total organic carbon, and finally some ions through chromatography. Finally, regarding the sorption tests, so we have 4 materials for the test, so gravel, zeolite, biochar, and biocalix. And we use background concentration of phosphorus, so we used 5 concentrations, and the measure of the total phosphorus at the end was done by the ascorbic acid method. Just to mention that for the statistical analysis, we use some comparison across multiple groups, comparison between 2 groups, and some analysis of correlation. So going to the results, at first I'm going to show the spatio-temporal differences between rain and rainwater quality in the two sites. So we can see here, for instance, the result for concentration of total suspended solids. So we can see how significantly higher were the results for the rainwater of the site 2, that means the campus, comparing with the site 1 that was ERSE. So the median was around 7 times higher in this case of total suspended solids. And we can say here that part of this could be because of a larger roof area of site 2 compared to site 1 may have a significant impact on this difference. And also additional other important factors could be the steep slope of roof site 1 compared to the nearly flat roof of site 2. That, of course, allows to accumulate some total suspended solids. So this is important too. Here we see the results for total phosphorus. So we can see here how evident is the difference between the rain and rainwater of site 1 having higher concentration of total phosphorus than the rain in site 2. So in this case, organic matter plays an important role because of the fall of leaves and other plant debris, as well as the presence of various insects could contribute to the higher concentration of total phosphorus on site 1. But what was an interesting finding, especially on the roof of the site 1 in ERSE, was that these animals, the birds or pigeons mostly in this case, were of course also a source in this case of this nutrient of phosphorus. So this of course also affects the rainwater quality in this case. Regarding the parameters, the hydrological parameters, so for instance, we have here the results for antecedent dry period and the correlation for both site 1 and site 2. In this case, we had that there is a significant positive correlation between antecedent dry period and also the nutrients, both nitrogen and phosphorus, and ammonia. For site 1, we found that the correlation was significant for total phosphorus and phosphates. And for site 2, we had no significant correlations here. Maybe this is in part because the data was a little bit limited here in this case. Regarding the first flush, I'm just going to show the result for site 2, but the behavior was pretty similar. And we can see how is the behavior of the level of pollutants and how is the dynamic during the sampling time. So at T1, the concentrations were very high, but then was a big decrease in T2 and T3. And in T4, it gets more flat, of course, but it's very low value compared to the beginning of the sampling. So comparing with T1. Regarding the experimental roofs experiment, so we have first the water runoff retention. So in this, we had the result that the retention capacity of green roofs was over 70% in general, with a couple of events going over 80%. And we can say here that also rainfall intensity, antecedent dry period, and other parameters such as substrate depth, vegetation type could play also an important factor here in the variance of this retention performance. Finally, for the rainwater quality of these experimental roofs, so we have interesting findings here. We can see how, for example, for experimental roof number 3, that it's the one that has the sedum, has higher concentration than the other ones, especially for nitrogen and phosphorus. And then we can see how in experimental roof number 4, it gets reduced this concentration. So it shows that the Caxit effectively reduced the concentration of both these nutrients. especially the phosphorus, around 90%, compared to the experimental proof number 3. These are the results for the sorption test. So the highest removal rate was for biocalyx iron, followed by biocare and biocalyx, and at the end, zeolite and gravel. But in general, they showed good results for all, with good removal rates for phosphorus in this case. So as conclusion, the first is that the significant differences in rain and rainwater quality were observed between the two signs, particularly for pollutants such as total phosphorus. Second, positive correlation between antecedent dry period and pollutants concentration were found, and also roof type, slope, and roofness some factors that can also influence these pollutant concentrations. At third, we have that the significantly higher concentrations of pollutants were found during initial minutes of rainfall, although this effect is also influenced by hydrological factors like antecedent dry period and rainfall intensity. And finally, but not least important, is that the experimental green roofs reduced runoff volume by approximately 80%. And what was more interesting is that green roofs can act as a source of pollutants. However, the inclusion of sorbent materials enhances the reduction of these pollutant concentrations. So thank you very much. These are some references. So that's all from my part. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Julian, for the very interesting presentation and giving the insights for a little bit different dimension, but still under the umbrella of ecohydrology. I believe if there are any questions, please, you can ask them on the chat. Julian, stay active with us and follow the discussion if there is anything to you. But now I would like to go for the next speaker. That will be Antidius Rafael, our dear friend from Tanzania, who also finished the Erasmus Mundus program, but I believe 2 years ago. And he will talk about translation of ecohydrology to community and youth-led actions from the perspective of Tanzania. So please, Antidius, if you are with us, you can share your screen and start.
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so good afternoon from Tanzania. I know we are in different time zone, but here in Tanzania it's afternoon. So good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Okay.
TDs.
Okay, so allow me to share my screen so that I can proceed. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, of course. I'm Antidius Rafael, as Dr. Pavel has introduced me, and I'm also I just graduated from the joint masters in applied ecohydrology that has been introduced by Dr. Pavel. But currently I'm working for the African Wildlife Foundation as an ecohydrologist based here in Tanzania. So basically I think the presenters that has talked before have all been engaging in the most technical part, but I want to now then bring in an idea on how we are translating and introducing that ecology concept and integrating into community and youth-led actions here on the ground. So I will start with a bit of kind of my academic background. And important to recognize that from 2021 to 2023, I was pursuing the master degree in applied ecohydrology. From then, I was just hired to work as an ecohydrologist that I'm doing right now. And the picture you see here was in 2019 when I first joined like the ecology initiative under the UNESCO chair on ecology and transboundary water management. That was kind of turning my thinking point now to venture into ecology. And now this one, the new version of myself, while I'm already graduated from the ecology and I'm doing the thing on the ground. So I wanted to be quick in my presentation. Will focus on the water crisis, just an overview, and I will venture on how the integration approach that we are using here on the ground, but also then I will focus on how eco-hydrology are being integrated in the community and youth ground activities in the landscape I'm working on. So basically based on the world water, I mean the World Bank's water department, it is said that over 40% of the global population are water scarce. And this is due to the increasing depletion of the water resources. And now we all know that without water, no one can live, but also the ecosystem will all collapse. But the collapsing ecosystem, this means that there will be no livelihood. But also the report also stressed that almost 70% of the deaths due to natural disasters are all water related. So this all bring us to an attention to discover like how the water issues are important and how basically are the efforts needed to resolve them. And basically the approach that we wanted to use is eco-hydrology. But these problems, we all know that they are being exacerbated by the climate change that is characterized by unpredictable floods, droughts, and alteration of the hydrological cycle that is all linked to the anthropogenic activities and increasing human population in different parts of the world. But also the sustainable solution that we are recommending is the systemic one, and what include eco-hydrology approach that try to bring the balance and to mimic the ecosystem properties to tackle the challenges in question. So these are some of the highlights of the global catastrophes and some of the water-related and water ecosystem-related challenges that we want to solve through eco-hydrology. So this try to present something related to pollution, the increase in urban surface, and concrete, and all the things that provide the alteration to the water cycle and worsen the problem. So now, I want to venture into see like how I've been using the knowledge I got from the Masters of Applied Ecology to integrate and translate it now to make sure that there is a strong adoption of the ecology approaches to manage effectively the water resources in the country and the landscape I'm working with. So we embrace the real integrative approach that we consider different aspects. The first one, we consider cross-sectoral integration, just bringing in professions and expertise from the water, the forest, wildlife, academia, agriculture, but also the curators and management perspectives. These sectors, we are trying to let them work together. We provide them the training, as we'll see in the next slides. But also we are focusing on empowering the community and youth to take up the eco-hydrology approaches in solving the problems. As we all know that eco-hydrology, it used the nature-based solution, but you also mimic the ecosystem properties, and it's more, we can say like it's less costly one. But apart from that, to make sure that we are sustainable and we are bringing sustainability in the eco-hydrology intervention that we're introducing, we are trying also to impart this knowledge to schools by starting the school clubs in primary and secondary schools, but also in the high schools. But also from there, we are also capacitating the Water Users Association. Now in Tanzania, these are the smallest units that are based in the communities and they are responsible for water resource management and governance plus monitoring, but they are legally identified and recognized in Tanzania here. But in all the intervention, to make sure that to make sure that all the intervention, we have high potential of buy-in and adoption. We are trying our level best to ensure that our intervention do balance and are considerate of all the stakeholders. So we are embracing a lot on public and private partnership to make sure that now, if the academias are now bringing the research to support the hydrology, but the companies and non-governmental organizations are bringing the fund to facilitate the implementation of hydrology. But now the government should now pursue its role to make sure they are kind of putting the legal environment and the legal environment regulation that will force, but also that will kind of motivate people and different stakeholders to adopt the concept. But also through the integrated approach, we are trying now to bring now the stakeholder to make sure that they now move from the one sector approach to the all sector approach, which embrace the idea of ecosystem and approach for integration. As we know that these water problems and the ecosystem they do not recognize the administrative and political borders. For instance, you might find like the flood that has been starting in one part, less one city or one region, are just flowing downstream and causing the impact in the other region or in the other city or in the other state. Now, with the ecosystem or landscape approach, we are trying to make sure that the management of this ecosystem or the water ecosystem should be like integrative of all the stakeholders in all parts of the landscape without leaving anyone behind. And in all the other things, we are trying to kind of disseminate ecohydrology and integrating it as one and crucial component of the nature-based solutions in solving water problems. So this is kind of the idea. Now we are trying to integrate the transdisciplinary learning, but also participatory processes, bringing the both bottom-up and top-down approaches, and also to integrate art, science, and practice into place so that we are trying to resolve the common issue that we are having on the ground. So the thing now, the integration that I'm talking about, we are trying now to consider different stakeholders from different angles, but also different sectors, like the wildlife, the water sector, the forest sector, the agricultural sector. We believe that all these sectors work collaboratively to cause the problems in the environment and the water ecosystem. So for solving them, these sectors they also all play crucial roles and duties to make sure that we solve these ecosystem problems. But also we are trying to consider multi level. That means that we are trying to solve these ecosystem problems at different levels. We are trying we are starting from the community levels to the district levels, to the regional level, to the national level, and even globally, to make sure that we can tackle these water-related problems at each angle. But also we are trying to embrace now the traditional knowledge to solving these problems, and by so doing, we are also trying to bring the signage between the science, practice, and data. And through this, we believe that I think we are also making steps toward like integrating the ecology concept in resolving these water-related issues and problems here in Tanzania, and especially in the landscape that I'm working on. Now I'm like turning on the last part of my presentation, where now I'll be showing some of the intervention that we are currently doing. So I will start by the ecohydrology training and consultation that we are providing to mobilize stakeholders and to make sure that these different stakeholder groups are just equipped with the essential knowledge and understanding of the ecohydrology concepts ready to adoption. And also I will focus on the restoration works that are related to ecohydrology, but also the nature-based solutions and how we are doing on the demonstrating about biomonitoring techniques and river assessment to inform the decision-making on ecosystem and especially river ecosystem management. So the first one, you can see that these are some of the ecohydrology training that we have been organizing and conducting here in Tanzania. And for some of you who might know that we also have the UNESCO chair on ecohydrology and transboundary water management here in Tanzania that was launched back then in 2019. By then I was just graduating from my bachelor degree. And then I had the opportunity to take part in the inauguration of that center. And also I was one of the organizing committee member. So from then and then I can say that I was mentored into ecological concept. And then from then I was motivated to now pursue further courses and programs on ecohydrology. And that's the reason I chose to take my profession on ecohydrology. And now then last year, it was in November, you can see that there was the fourth training in ecohydrology in Tanzania. And then you can remember that in 2019, I was just in the preparation committee, and now in 2020, last year, I was able to now facilitate some of the session to present the ecohydrology concepts, and now how can we turn the ecohydrology into real practice in our local communities. And you can know that we were joined by Dr. Asefa from Ethiopia, who is just in this meeting. So I'm glad to meet him. So these are some of the things that we are trying to do to make sure that we spread the word of ecology in Tanzania. And now then, from the international training, we are just now scaling down to make sure that we mobilize the communities and providing them training on how they can apply these eco-hydrology techniques into their all day-to-day undertakings. And the first picture here, you can see the group represents the group that is standing up. They represent a group of community members in Tanzania. Here we are called them the group of water users association. These are in charge of making sure that they manage and monitor the water, the rivers in the ecosystems. So we are just trying to capacitate them and introducing them and equipping them their knowledge on how they can use ecology approaches and nature-based solution approaches to make sure that they manage their rivers and the related ecosystems. So here, and the bigger picture on at the bottom of the slide is we are trying to bring the Water Users Association, the village assembly, the village governments, the farmers, the livestock keepers, and all other groups that we believe and we are sure that they are depending on the water ecosystem, and in one way or another they are good users of water. We are mobilizing them, providing them the training on the IWRM and Ecohydrology, and to make sure that each one of them is able and is capable and is capacitated on taking up roles to have a say on eco-hydrology and effectively manage their water resources. But also here is now a continuation of the stakeholder consultation, and we are trying to impact them knowledge with watershed conservation. You can see the picture there on the left-hand side. At the bottom of the slide, we have also, I was joined by the UNESCO chair on Ecohydrology, the UNESCO chair holder on Ecohydrology and transboundary water management, where we were now making the surveillance of the different catchments in Tanzania. And for this time, I think some of you might know, like we were in the Mara River catchment, that is an important transboundary catchment here in Tanzania that is transversing between Tanzania and Kenya. And now we are trying to mobilize them to bring them to the table to discuss the issues of eco-hydrology and how can we use this approach to solve the transboundary problems that are related to that important water resource. But also, I spoke before that we are also mobilizing communities and training them to be the leaders on ecosystem restoration, as we know that one of the significant problem in the water sector is the pollution, and pollution, most of which is coming from agriculture, especially in those countries that are whose backbone is dependent on agriculture. So, for instance, I'm working on the Kilombero landscape that is part of the southern region of Tanzania. So we came to realize that this kind of the food basket of for the country of Tanzania, and now we've figured out that a lot of farmers are doing intensive agriculture, and consequently they are causing a lot of pollution and degradation to the water ecosystems, and increasing the erosion and siltation to the rivers, and significantly because they are applying fertilizers, they are causing a lot of pollution to the rivers and streams. So we now ventured an approach that to effectively engage them and to make sure that to make them take up the restorative role. We started the training program to train them on establishment of nursery trees, basically focusing on the water-friendly and native trees to regulate this erosion on the steep slopes. But also in the program, we are integrating them with the agroforestry techniques, but also we are making them plant this vetiver grass. If some of you might know, it is a grass that is very, very, very known for controlling erosion. But you will also notice that on the left side of the bottom picture, there is someone is like, this is the leader of the Water Users Association. He's trying to do some kind of restorative works by planting the phragmites and this water-friendly grass on the banks of the river to control erosion and to provide the natural filtration of whatever the pollutants are coming into the rivers. But all the other things now we are, I was also tasked to kind of
Sorry,
develop.
Antidius, but I need to ask you to slowly finish because 15 minutes already passed.
Yes, I'm just finishing up. So I also get an opportunity to facilitate development of the nature-based solution strategy that are inclusive of all sectors in the landscape. And then this is a huge document, but I can assure you that within, in the issues related to water, there's a specific mention on how we can use ecohydrology. The last one is like I said that we are trying to equip the Water User Association on how to use biomonitoring techniques. And these are some of the pictures on the field where I'm trying to equip them with the knowledge on how they can use the technology. And now, lastly, we are also interpreting them based on the ecosystem. And this is the demonstration of how we are training them now practically. How can they do, they assess the river the river and health of the rivers using the macro invertebrates that are based in the water. So this provides like an idea of how they can assess the restoration work and progress in ecohydrology. So this word this is how I'm trying to translate ecohydrology into practice. And I look forward the Ecohydrology Youth Network to be a platform to engage youth, to empower them, and to embrace their actions to further the world of ecology globally from the local perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Antidius,
very much.
for your great presentation. It is very nice to see the activities, all the activities that you are undertaking in Tanzania and all the region. And I believe this is inspiration for our community for future, what kind of activities we can also pursue. There is one question for you on the chat, so I would ask you to answer there. And now we would like to move for another speaker, which is Olga Portillo from Salvador, who also defended her thesis in last month under the Erasmus Mundus Master in Applied Ecohydrology. And Olga will demonstrate one of the ecohydrological solutions, which is the sequential sedimentation biofiltration system developed by Professor Maciej Zaleski in Łódź in Poland over 20 years ago, and now implemented in many different catchments all over the world. So Olga, if you are with us, I would like to ask you to share the screen and start your presentation.
Thank you for your introduction, Pavel. I will start sharing my screen. Please let me know if you can see already my screen.
Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me well as well?
Yes. Yes. You can start.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. Thank you also for the invitation. And as Professor Pavel already told you about, I will be talking a little bit about management and monitoring of sequential sedimentation biofiltration systems. This research was carried out under the Life Pilisa project at the European Center for Ecohydrology in Łódź in Poland, and as well as part of the MAE program. So let's dive right into the introduction. Well, one of the main issues globally is water pollution, and you can see from this map that the predicted conditions for Latin American and African countries are not like the best. And in Europe, we can see how this objective of achieving good quality and ecological status of water resources is a little bit far from completing, since there are still a lot of conditions that need to be solved. But other than that, we already know that the water pollution is caused due to several anthropogenic activities, one of them being agriculture. This mainly due to the use of fertilizers and pesticides, which affect water resources, water streams, mainly due to the load of phosphorus and nitrogen that these carry to the streams. And when we have high loads of these nutrients, of these contaminants, well, we have the formations of algal blooms and also the eutrophication, which is harmful not only for human, but also for biodiversity. So one way of dealing with such issues is with the implementation of best management practices, but we can also work with nature and implement nature-based solutions. Professor Zaleski already talked a little bit about this, and this is when ecohydrology comes in handy, because ecohydrology enhances and regulates hydrological processes and biotic processes, especially to deal with such issues as one of the challenges of ecohydrology is to reduce the excessive input and nutrients and pollutants into aquatic ecosystems. So nature-based solutions under ecohydrology, we can see such technology as advanced nature-based solution, and we can see systems at the sequential sedimentation biofiltration system, which was first introduced as a stormwater purification system. And we can see in the right picture, as we know now, the system has 3 differentiated areas: the sedimentation area, the biogeochemical area, and also the biofiltration zone. This system can be implemented as a standalone measure for water treatment to improve water quality, but it can also be combined with some other engineering approaches and other nature-based solutions to create hybrid system for water treatment, as well as it can also serve as a post-treatment for wastewater treatment plant effluent. So the sequential system, as Pavel already told you, it has been broadly implemented, mostly in Poland, and it has already shown some effectiveness in reducing nutrient contaminants. But there are still some gaps and some ways to improve the system, which is important that we continue to monitor and to observe and to perform research in this type of nature-based solutions. One of the main challenges of nature-based solutions is the maintenance, which has a major impact on the long-term performance of these systems. And for the sequential system, it has been identified that it requires 3 periodic practices for proper management. One of them, the mowing and trimming of the vegetation, the replacement of the biogeochemical barriers, as well as the sludge removal. So with this context in mind, I would like to tell you a little bit about our research. We had 4 objectives, which was to understand the seasonal variations in nutrients, especially nitrogen and phosphorus concentration, as well to examine the removal efficiency of this sequential system, and also to evaluate the retained material from the sedimentation area, as well as to provide recommendations for maintenance and monitoring of these type of systems. Our study area, located in central Poland, in agricultural catchment. You can see from the map and from the table that about 81% of this land corresponds to agricultural land. And the system was built in this catchment to help reduce the nutrient concentrations from Struga Strzelecka and to avoid eutrophication in the recreational lakes that are located downstream. This in Szedbusz. I apologize for my Polish pronunciation, but in overall, this was the main purpose of the system. And in here you can see an overview how the system looks like and some technical aspects of it. A little bit about methodology. I don't want to go into much deep in here. So we had 2 different methodologies, one for assessing the water quality and also for assessing the sediments. Here in the flow chart is summarized, and we had a monitoring campaign, and we had some in situ measurements, as well as we took samples to evaluate in the laboratory. And we also sampled sediments from the sedimentation basin, which we took some samples for external analysis, but we also performed some analysis at ERCE. And about the speciation of phosphorus, which was, I would say, the most interesting part for this study. You can see here about the fractions that we studied. So about the data, we had data available from 2019 and also from more recent monitoring. All the data was gathered by ERCE, and I had the opportunity to work with them last year during an internship, and this year while I was working in this study. The data was narrowed to the end of 2023 for these studies purposes, and we assess all the data using Microsoft Excel and PASS. Assess also for a significance of 0.05. Our main research outcomes, we discovered that the sequential system in EHYN works better and has higher efficiency removal during warmer temperatures. This is to say during summer temperatures. And this was confirmed by a correlation, a positive and significant correlation, especially for total phosphorus and also total nitrogen. But I would like to focus on this only, especially because we are discussing monitoring and management, and one of the practices for management of sequential systems is the sediment management, the sludge removal. So these are some pictures from the sedimentation area in 2020, and this is how the system looked like 3 years later. So we can see that we had some obstacles in this area. So that's why we decided to focus as well on the sediments and to evaluate them. And we have two main questions to discuss today, which the first one is, could these sediments in the system create internal loading, limiting the reduction of phosphate? And also, are those sediments safe to reuse in agriculture? Our main results indicated that towards the end of the sedimentation chamber, the samples collected presented higher water and also organic matter content, which was interesting, especially for the next slide, which we are discussing here, the absorption capacity. So you can see from this graph that the same locations of the same samples inside the sedimentation area, which had higher water and organic matter content, are the ones that also present a higher absorption capacity. And these results were very significant. So what type of fractions do these sediments retain? So our speciation, the speciation analysis indicated that the higher fractions contained in the sedimentation area are the fractions for bicarbonate, the thionite, and also sodium hydroxide non-reactive phosphorus. And as we also evaluated the sediments from the stream to compare them, and you can see from this graph that only in the stream we found hydrochloric acid extractable phosphorus. Additionally, trying to solve the first question that we had presented before, you can see from this graph that significant results were obtained for desorption analysis for release of phosphate, mainly in the sedimentation area, which indicates that this material is a potential source of phosphate. However, there are still more observations and more analysis to be done to fully confirm this statement, since we have to look at as well as changes in pH, changes in dissolved oxygen concentration, as well as redox potential. And there are other factors that can contribute to this. But very important as well, and very promising for this research, is that the sediments that reported significantly below results of metal of heavy metal content, so they were all below the threshold, indicating that there is a potential reuse, and we can link this with ecohydrology, nature-based solutions, as well as circular economy. And there are as well another studies already that have pointed out the way in we can reuse this type of sediments, and we can use the micronutrients that have been accumulated in sediment for agriculture fertilizers, as well as for energy production, which is very important and as part of the ecohydrology paradigm, since it's evolving. And you have seen from previous presentations how has changed and evolved for 20 years. So this is very promising and very interesting. To conclude my presentation, I would like just to present some conclusions and recommendations from our research, which demonstrated that the sequential system reduced significantly total suspended solids, about a rate of 46%. And as I told you before, during warmer temperatures, the system reported higher efficiency removal, especially for total phosphorus, total nitrogen, ammonium, and nitrites. And there was a significant reduction in total phosphorus in the sedimentation area. And the speciation analysis indicated that the most part of this phosphorus was retained in iron and manganese hydroxides, as well as in organic phosphorus. And for ecohydrological advanced nature-based solutions infrastructures, such as the SSBS system, constant maintenance and monitoring is very important, because that way we guarantee the long-term effectiveness of the system and the contaminant reduction, which is the main goal for this system. And for future research approaches, well, we could conduct, people at ERSE could conduct more as water quality assessment, but this time including the catchment, because there is a lot of data from the catchment, and at this time we only focus on the system. So we can consider also the stream self-purifications and nutrient processes, as well as the sequential impact in the catchment, the sequential system impact in the catchment. For future implementation of this type of system, they need to overcome the low efficiencies for nutrient removal that was observed during cold seasons. And there are other factors that are important to monitor and also to regulate for future assessments of the effectiveness in nutrient reduction for the sequential system, such as the hydraulic retention time, the hydraulic loading rate, and also it has been done before to evaluate the flush period during rainfall. A proper assessment of the potential of the sequential system and circular economy could be also made, since previous research have also demonstrated how the three differentiated areas from the sequential system are linked to the recovery and also reuse of resources. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Olga, for great presentation and the ending recommendations. I believe this is some perspective for future research for our new members of the network. So thank you for that very inspiring talk. If there are any questions to Olga, please ask on the chat. We will try to answer. And then we will move to, last but not least, our dear colleague, Marco Albarracini from Ecuador, who finished also Erasmus Mundus Master in Applied Ecohydrology, but some time ago, when it was one of the first batches for that program. We invited him today to share his important story about ecohydrology, and especially this approach in water sowing and harvesting systems that are coming from Ecuador, Catacocha area, which is also UNESCO designated ecohydrology demonstration site. So please, Marco, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Pavel, and thank you very much, Professor Zalewski, for ecohydrology in the world. And thank you very much to all the young people that is here. Please let me know if you are looking my presentation.
Yes. Yeah.
Then
visible, yeah.
I'm happy to present you the case of Patas Catacocha ecohydrology demonstration site. And also I am going to talk about water sowing and harvesting. Thank you very much for the presentation. I am also a student of the Erasmus Mundus Ecohydrology, and now I am collaborating here from Latin America in the development of the ecohydrology concept. So the content of my presentation will be, firstly, I am going to talk about water sowing and harvesting, that concept that is from
Sorry,
the Andean
Marco,
region.
sorry, we cannot see the full screen. We see only the standard view.
Oh, thank you
If
very
you can
much.
go to the full screen.
Okay. There's the first, I don't know, I'm not used to use
If you try to click on the bottom, this
share,
full
yeah?
screen mode, yeah.
Okay, let me see. But I cannot see here the presentation. I'm not used to use the team. Sorry for it.
No. Oh, yes, here,
Is there?
exactly.
Is there?
Yeah, we need to wait. Not yet.
No?
Now we can see that you change the slides, but it's not the full screen. But if you know we can go like that, yeah, Rafael is suggesting clicking F5.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it.
Just, yeah. Click on F5, yeah.
Is it? The second slide is now?
No, it's still, we don't see the full screen.
Maybe
you can go like
maybe
that
you can
now.
go. Maybe you can go to presentación con diapositivas, Marco.
Se fue completamente el Marco. ¿Aló?
Is it? Sorry for it. Now is it?
Marco, ponete abajo en la derecha, full
Yes, but
todo abajo en la derecha hay un
yes,
botón.
here there is presentation with, yeah, there is.
Full presentation.
Is it?
Es en PPT.
Oh, no.
Si la pones, te enseñamos a dónde está. Es un...
But I put share window, then here. Is it a presentation?
Yes, but this is not full screen. But you can go like that. If you change the slides on the left, we will see, but not in the full screen.
Now.
No, but you are not sharing the full screen. You are still sharing the normal view.
Sorry for it. I'm going to present like the last Pavel suggest, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do it bigger. Is it?
Yeah, it's visible. Very nice.
Okay, sorry for it. Water sowing and harvesting from Latin America. No. No, it's not good. Sorry for it. Okay, Pavel, please let me know if I put share the presentation, there is a screen or window. I put a screen. So is there?
Now, perfect. Yeah.
Okay. So water sowing and harvesting.
Yeah.
So thank you very much and sorry for it.
So no
problem. As Professor Zaleski presented, maybe the main conceptual approach in ecohydrology is that dual regulation in between biota and hydrology. I'm going to present quickly because I lost some time. So you know the principles of ecohydrology. I see some questions about how hydrological principle could be understood in a simple way. I hope in my presentation I will give you some answer about it. Then you know the parameters of ecohydrology also. And here in this presentation, I'm going to talk more about water and culture. I remember this slide that Professor Zaleski presented in a congress in Faro in 2018. In this slide, you could see in the x-axis about phosphorus and how where will be the limits of ecohydrology and where is ecohydrology working better in this kind of water quality? We saw in some presentations today, for example, in the before presentation, how is working ecohydrology in water quality. So when the concentration of the pollutant is low, uh, nature could take care of this pollutant only because of the natural phosphorus cycle. And Professor Zaleski indicates when the concentration is starting to be bigger in the water river, or for example in any other place, we can use phytotechnology, nature-based solutions that is part of ecohydrology. But also, when the concentration of pollutant is bigger, we need to use civil engineering like treatment plants. So I think about these limits of ecohydrology, but changing to water quantity, because more of the ecohydrology is working in quality of water. That's a big problem in the world, but also in some places like arid zones could be a problem about the quantity. So if we think that every person normally or kind of in a media way, we're using 1.5 liters by day, what happened when we have 1,000 people, for example, the river and lakes in arid zones could, and also wells could provide the water for people. But how to use ecohydrology when we started to have more demand of water for people, for example, or for agriculture? Then we can start using water sowing and harvesting and also NBS. At the end, water sowing and harvesting is a kind of nature-based solutions, but it takes a cultural integration in the concept, because this engineering of water sowing and harvesting is developed in cultures in Latin America, for example, in the Andean region. And also, when we need more demand of water, of course, we will need another kind of solutions in water engineering. So the concept of water sowing and harvesting is the process vested in local ecological knowledge through which the human being collects and infiltrates. It's the part of sowing on sows and rainwater or runoff underground surface of hypodermic. To recover it, that will be the harvesting moment. I have a video that will explain better this. Please see. The sound is okay?
Yeah, actually, there is no sound, but you can explain.
No sound. Yeah. No sound it.
Sorry? No sound?
No,
Yeah,
no, there was no
sound
sound.
it.
Oh, sorry. I will
There is no
provide the
sound.
link for Pavel in order that you can see it, and we take 2 minutes that I lost. But I could explain also the water sowing and harvesting in this graph. So, what is the idea? The, to maintain the water in the part of the mountains and where we can take it the water. For example, in this kind of ditches that is named Amuna from the Quichua, we can distribute the water and then give moments to infiltrate the water in the underground. And also we can use another kind of simple infrastructures like cochas, that means lakes, artificial lakes. And also we can use bofedales, that it is the water, when we use the water to increase the part in where the llamas, for example, or the other kind of camelids here in Latin America, in the Andean regions, could use the the plants that is growing because there is more water. Then the water will appear in springs, and the springs will provide water to the community in order to use. So in the network of demonstration sites now in 2023, we have at least 4 sites that are doing water sowing and harvesting. 3 in Latin America, 1 in Ecuador and 2 in Peru, another one in Spain. So the concept maybe could be used in another places like in Africa and maybe in Asia too, but there is no knowing like water sowing and harvesting. But we want to share with you how it works. And now I'm going to talk as an example the case of Paltas Catacocha. So it's my country, Ecuador, that is located in South America, just in south of Colombia and the north of Peru. It's maybe one of the smallest countries in the world, in Latin America, sorry. And the demo site is located in the south of Ecuador, in this micro basin named San Pedro Martir. The the place is in Catacocha city. Catacocha was developed for Spanish people in 1824, and it has 7,000 inhabitants. But it's important the name. Cata in Quechua language means the big, and Cocha the lake. So in this part of this macro basin, there were a big lake that now is not anymore because there is the city now. So you can be there, the building of the municipality, a church, etc. And then you could see it. There is the city, and in the front, there's the main point named the Mount Pisaca. So what's the problem here and related with the hydrological principle? In the zone of the world, the cold Humboldt current produce that there is not too much rainy in this part, producing deserts and also arid zones. Here is located the demo site. So we have only 4 months with an average of precipitation with close to 200 millimeters. And the other 8 months in the year, they don't have more than 30 millimeters in the year. So in this point that we are recognizing the hydrological principle, the problem is about quantity of water. So if we don't have water, what to do in order to recover the quantity of water, or how to retain the water in the catchment? And then we identify the problems. In 1824, the city was started to be living the Spanish people there. So they changed completely the way how the local people, the ancestors, were doing with water. And then, of course, they dried the big lagoon to put the city there in 1860. Then, in between this decade in 1848 and 1858, the second big lagoon that was created, artificial lagoons, were dried up too. Then the water was collected from another side in order to increase the availability of water. So they put a pipe very far from, but also because they planted eucalyptus, like 300 hectares in the micro basin, uh, obviously the eucalyptus used also the water. So it was not a solution, because some people relate that if you put plants, maybe you will receive water, but in some species and some cases it's not true. And then because of global warming and changing, in 1967 and 1969, there were a very big drought that produced migration in the city. And then in 1998 and in 2000 years, they received only 1 to 2 hours by day. So it was the problem. Some people say that they receive only quarter of hour, and there was a water crisis. What to do in a place that is very poor? There is not enough science to apply. What to do in this case? So an historian famous in Ecuador, Dr. Galo Ramon Valareso, he started to study how the people, the indigenous people, the native people works in these places. So the first thing that he understands is that the culture, the name it paltas, rename is referred to avocados. So here's aguacate or paltas is the name. he said that the shaman of the Paltas, so the priest of the Paltas, the indigenous people, was deformed the head when this form. And when the Incas people arrived to that places, they say the Paltas because of and they changed the name. But the historian said it is not related to the avocado, it's related to the mountain. So because they have a very interesting cosmology that I can explain in this in this webinar because of time. But how they understand, Professor Galo Ramon explained it. So he said the Pisaca Hill and the Cango Hill was a kind of gods for them. They named it Apus. And the Paltas explain in rocks how they works. For them, the main god was the sun. So the sun was located just in a line that could cross these two hills. Because of time, I will join or jump to the very interesting rock that is named the snake. You could see here the snake. For the Inca people and for the Palta people, and also for the Aztecas people in Mexico, when there is a snake, is related with water. So it's important because the historian said this rock represents how they works with the water. So the snake, you could see here the snake in the rock because I visit the place in order to understand how it works, and I put water in this rock. You could see here how it's working because it's a kind of 3D model of a catchment. You could see here the mountains, and also you could see here the rivers. And there, he said there is the artificial lakes that was produced for the people there. And because of the snake, they could understand that here is some way to teach the people. Because remember, in this part of the world, they cannot, they didn't have a writing system. So they just communicate orally or with this kind of things. So you could see here how is the catchment. And with this, Dr. Galo Ramon uh, encouraged the people in order to find where was the cochas. And you could see here one photo with a rock with the water levels here, but also with a place in where the cattle was moved. So they dried up this artificial lake named Cochas, and they started to recover in it. Look it. They say that when they were working here, so they can see the dust in the when they were working, and also they found some fish there or some bones of fish. It it was the lagoon, and they started to recover with people because, as Professor Zalewski said, participation of people will uh, ensure the successful of some of the projects. And you can see here how when you put water, you will receive more biota. But it was just the start of the project. You can see here the cocha, the big cocha, and then they constructed another cochas or another artificial lakes. Some of them are very small, but the biggest one is this one, the Laguna Pisaca, the Lake Pisaca. It is like a nodriza lake that provide water to the others because of the infiltration. And then also they move to 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 preservation of the zone. So this institution, Naturaleza and Culture International, they protected the area, and also the municipality protected the highest lands of the microsystem. You could see here more photos on how they are working in the construction. They construct also small dikes here. You could see in order to retain the water. They reduce the runoff, generates microhabitats, and of course, recharge the aquifers. And you can see here a soil adjusted vegetation index, how it was. In 2000, there were not the restoration of the cochas. You could see here each point is the restoration of the cochas, and you could see how in winter the vegetation changed in these 10 temporal photos. And finally, how it works with the WBSRC and also the others, you could see here water is available for people, for agriculture, and also for they increase the 1 hour to 2 hours to 8 or to 9 hours in the no rainy season. So they improve the water availability with this project. Also, they integrate the cultural parts. You can see here the sun and also the snake, this kind of things that is cultural heritage. And they improve the biodiversity for sure. They improve the ecosystem services, and there are more prepared, like a resilient community in front to global warming, for example. So if you want to see, you can take the QR code to download these publications, and also I will share with Pavel in order to distribute to you. Thank you very much for your attention, and sorry for the problems with the presentation.
Thank you, Marco, so much. No worries. It's normal. We are living in these times of webinars, and I think everybody experienced similar things. So no worries for that. And thank you for a very interesting point of view and bringing us this indigenous knowledge and cultural heritage that are also very important parts of ecohydrology. And especially your demo site is a very vivid demonstration of that one. So that was the last presentation. Marco, if I can ask you to stop sharing the screen, it will be perfect. That was the last presentation. So we came to the moment of conclusions and the final remarks. From my perspective, I am very happy that we have listened to the perspective of many people that brought you the ecohydrology idea. This holistic perspective that Professor Zaleski presented with transdisciplinary that is very crucial now for problem solving in water sector, where we have a lot of issues, a lot of problems that are linked. These problems must be addressed with a very comprehensive, holistic approach, which ecohydrology is bringing. Then, thanks to Dr. Elfitri Rahman, we learned how important it is for UNESCO IHP to use ecohydrology, to implement ecohydrology to solve the problem of water crisis and achieve sustainability. And I believe that thanks to our 4 speakers that presented different approaches, more on research, more on cultural heritage or activities that we can take, you also learned about the possibilities that you may find in this family of ecohydrology in your future. From my side, I would like to ensure that in the following week, I will contact all of you with the recording of the meeting, with the presentations, but also we are preparing a specific place online. It will be a drive where I will share all the documents related to ecohydrology, all the articles that are most important for you to learn now as much as possible about this concept of ecohydrology. Yeah. And then we will continue with other meetings and to have this further discussion on the development of our network. If Professor Zaleski or Dr. Elfitri also have some comments, I would like to ask them to finalize our meeting.
If I may, I would like to say that I'm impressed. This is really series of excellent presentation, and each of presentation demonstrate the very important dimension of ecohydrology. As I said, we have a big diversity of challenges, big diversity of hierarchy of drivers, and now I think intergovernmental hydrological program giving us an opportunity, very unique opportunity to make comparative analysis and create common denominator on the basis the ecohydrology framework to really go towards sustainable future we want. Thank you, and my congratulations to all presenters. Thank you for Alfitri Rahman for leading this ecohydrology team in such creative way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Zaleski. I see that Dr. Giuseppe Arduino is raising hand, so we may ask him also to give a comment. Giuseppe, please. We cannot hear you, sorry. No, unfortunately, the sound doesn't work. No sound from you, Giuseppe. Sorry for that. We cannot hear. So maybe Elfitri, if you have a comment, final remark, I would be delighted to hear.
Okay, yeah. From my side, I'm happy also to see this EHYN network is starting and in fact progressing, which is good to see. Many members and also the specific events that we have today with sharing some development of ecohydrology from expert and from the youth itself. And personally, also, I'm happy to see our partner or network. Like I saw many Korean colleagues here. Thanks for joining us for IHP Korea. I just met them in person last week, which is good. And I saw some interesting colleagues or new colleagues from Ethiopia, which just submitted. She mentioned, I saw in the chat, they mentioned that they just submitted the proposal for the new ecohydrology demonstration site. Let's see how it will progressing now. And of course, I saw a part of the presenter, which is my colleague Prozaleski, Marco, from our demonstration site. I'm happy to see Giuseppe also here, our former chief of section for ecohydrology in UNESCO. So you can see, all youths or student or youth network here. This network got very much strong support from UNESCO and the team of ecohydrology network around the world. So this is such a privilege also to be part of this network. And of course, we will facilitate the involvement of youth in any ecohydrology related activities. Okay, hand over to you, Pavel, and also Giuseppe.
Thank you very much. Giuseppe, if you want to try again. No, okay, sorry. We understand. Thank you very much for that wonderful meeting. It was very inspiring, and be ready for the next steps. I think the future is very bright for ecohydrology and for us creating that network. My final request for you will be to turn on your cameras, at least as many of you as possible. So we will take a final photo together. So please, now you have 10 seconds to turn your camera whenever you are. We are ready, and I will take a photo of us, okay? So give me a second, I will create a gallery. Okay. Okay, very nice to see more faces. Some people are grouped in one room, very good.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I will take a photo now. So please give me your best smiles for that moment. Okay. Thank you very much. I took a print screen as a photo, so it's ready. Thank you very much once again for that meeting and collaboration. Thank you, Dr. Elfitri Rahman. Thank you, Professor Zaleski, and all the speakers. And have a wonderful time. See you soon.
Thank you also. Hope to see you in Paris next year for the celebration of IHP, 50 years anniversary of IHP.
Thank you. Thank you very much.